Hi everyone, I'm Mrs. D. Priyadashini, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science with Cybersecurity. Today we are going to discuss about malware analysis. What is malware? Malware is a specially built function to identify the miscellaneous software which will disturb or misbehave on the private data. The systematic process of examining miscellaneous software to understand its functionality, behavior, and impacts is known as malware. The importance of malware analysis is essential for cyber security, defense, threats intelligence, and effective instant response. The core objective of why malware is needed: understanding behavior, detect threats, develop countermeasures, improve security measures. That is, when we have a private data in a cloud or a server or might be in our own PC, it has to be maintain its secrecy, because many of the occasion the analysis of the data is going to be a public one. In case of any unauthorized access of the private data may lead to a critical path or critical situation of the user. The common malware types are virus, worm, trojan, ransomware, spyware, adware, rootkit, fileless malware. Why these malware types are needed? Why this malware functions has to be incorporated? Sometimes the attached files, whatever we are trying to transmit or whatever we stored in our PC or a cloud, we frequently heard about the term called virus, which may attack and get the data in a misbehaving functions. The worm is a self-replicating across networks. That means while transferring the data from one place to another place, this worm type of attack may happen. The Trojan. This is a type of a software which can help the disguise as a legitimate software which will work at a right time with quality outputs. The ransomware encrypts files for ransom. That is, whenever we are transmitting the data from one place to another place, we might have the decryption coding or encryption coding for private data has to be transmitted. Because to avoid the cyber threat, we are doing the such kind of a transcription during transmission. The next one is spyware. It steals sensitive information. That means, say for an example, the user might have a personal health report, or they might have an accountancy report, or some other such kind of sensitive information can be stealed. To avoid such kind of things, the spywares are used. Then adware. It displays unwanted advertisement. Say for an example, in Facebook or might be in our mobile phone, we receive so many unwanted advertisements or unwanted messages. We can able to drop or trap all these things with the help of an adware. Then rootkit. It hides miscellaneous processes which may lead to the misbehavior of the system even. The next one is fileless malware. It resides only in memory, which protects the memory from the unauthorized access of the private data. The analysis approach. There are three types of analysis approach in a malware. First one is static analysis, second one is dynamic analysis, and third one is hybrid analysis. The static analysis examines code with execution, fast, which is very faster and safe approach. It limited behavior insight. It has limitations in the finding of a behavioral structure of the malwares. The next one is dynamic analysis. It executes and controls the environment. In case of any type of an attack happens, it automatically intimates to the user the such kind of an attack which may lead to the misbehavior of the software or system regarding this. The next one is requires isolated sandbox. That means it needs the separate sandbox for doing all this process. The third one is hybrid analysis. The combination of a static and dynamic analysis leads to the hybrid analysis, that is comparative, the comprehensive understanding of the execution controlled environment and also with the examines code without execution may happen in hybrid analysis. The resources in instinctive process which requires, it doesn't require any isolated sandbox sometimes, but it needs some memory space for storing all these concepts and the behavioral structure of the virus attack, cyber attacks. The next is static analysis technique. The static analysis examines a malware without execution to understand the structure and functionality. That means it follows some behavior pattern. Whenever the user trying to access the private data, the pattern was structurized and it was fixed with the system whenever such particular user comes in. Some cases it may use hashing key or some cases it may use the patterns. In the case of a static analysis, it finds out what kind of a pattern the user is adapting. The limitations and the advantages of the static analysis is the static analysis have a safe and faster execution, whereas the limitation is no runtime behavior, that is packed malware hides the code. The next one is dynamic analysis. It has the advantage of observe actual behavior and a disadvantage like a required safe environment. That means it needs a special environment to store the coding, whatever the transcription or the encryption data, what kind of the behavior changes was done was stored in that memory space. It executes a malware in a controlled environment. That means it won't go for an open source. It has a private environment which may able to detect such kind of a cyber attacks. The last one is the analysis of the tools which can able to help the user to understand the cyber threats. That is PStudio, Process Hackers, 64 bits, Witches, IDA and Chuko Sandbox are some of the analysis tools which helps the malware to find what kind of cyber attacks was happened and how we can able to avoid it. The best practices of to escape from the cyber attacks are isolated environment, proper documentation, legal consideration, sample management, safety protocols, key principles and continuous learning of or upgrading of the system, which may leads to the safer data transmission or safer data storage. It is essential for the cybersecurity. The malware analysis is a critical component of a modern cybersecurity defense strategies because there are so many kind of cyber attacks nowadays it was introduced. We cannot able to identify either after taking the private data even or transmitted inside the system. The multi-technique approach was followed that might during in the cyber attack also. The combination of the methodologies like static, dynamic, hybrid or integrated multiple analysis teaches yacht that most accurate and thoughtful results. The tools and best practice, that is professional tools and standardized practice, are fundamentals to effectively store this malware analysis. Hope you understood why the malware is needed in the case of cybersecurity. The security is more important for the private data. We'll discuss some other topics in next video. Until stay tuned. Bye. Thank you.